The Full Truth, special guest with speaker Samantha Full-Necki. Immediately, Turning Point USA. Fox News appearances have begun. Guest spot on Riley Reigns' podcast is soon. Small TPUSA campus speaking tour next year. She will earn a low six-figure before being discarded back to Missouri, where she will work for her mom's January 6th legal practice. Start to finish 6 months. This is, of course, the Oklahoma student who wrote the most dog essay of all time, immediately getting a Fox News opportunity. These guys just cherish and celebrate the biggest losers, dude.
I am saddened that they're offended by the truth of the gospel and the truth that I wrote about in my assignment. And it saddens me to see that that offends them and upsets them the way it did. Jesus is always worth standing up for. And I just encourage those people that...
As a conservative, conservatives just basically want to dominate every field. And even if they fail a class, it's because they're conservative, right? Like, even it's not because they write a dog essay. It was because you got fired for saying the truth. You got fired for, preaching the gospel. That's what happened. Show the essay? Yeah, I'm going to show you the essay. Now that Trump is just being blatant and very clear with his racism, I think it's giving more people more permission to do even more outright racist shit or worse, commit more crimes on anyone who isn't white. Like, it's already happening, but I think it's going to get worse. If these clear-cut, non-vague racist statements from the most powerful people in this country continue, yes. The permission structure on how racist you can get is expanding every single day. So she wrote this essay for a psych class. And in the essay, she's just like arguing about, gender, saying that there should be no gender whatsoever, which is very woke, or saying that there's only one gender. Apologies. I need to read it to you because it's really bad. I need to read the full one. It's really bad. This article is very thought-provoking and caused me to thoroughly evaluate the idea of gender and the role it plays in our society. The article discussed, it's 2 pages. It's like a fourth grader, straight up. The article discussed peers using teasing as a way to enforce gender norms. I do not necessarily see this as a problem. God made male and female and made us differently from each other on purpose and for a purpose. God is very intentional with what he makes, and I believe trying to change the world would only do more harm. Gender roles and tendencies should not be considered stereotypes. Women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. The same goes for men. God created men in the image of his courage and strength, and he created women in the image of his beauty. He intentionally created women differently than men, and we should live our lives with that in mind. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? You can't even fail an illiterate person in your class? Really? Without this becoming... Why is her accent always Southern? I don't know. Maybe because she's Southern. You heard her speak. What do you mean?
Are dealing with something similar to push back against that kind of behavior. I would...
She's from Missouri. Missouri. Bro, what is wrong with you? This is Shakespeare. I know, this is the most goated article I've ever read in my entire life. It is frustrating to me when I read articles like this and discussion posts from my classmates of so many people trying to conform to the same mundane opinion so they do not step on people's toes. I think that is cowardly and insincere way to live. That is a cowardly and insincere way to live. It is important to use freedom of speech we have been given in this country, and I personally believe that eliminating gender in our society would be detrimental as it pulls us farther from God's original plan for humans. It is perfectly normal for kids to follow gender stereotypes because that is how God made us. The reason so many girls want to feel womanly and care for others in a motherly way is not because they feel pressured to fit into societal norms. It is because God created and chose them to reflect his beauty and his compassion in a way. Okay. I can't even get through it. She's not even sourcing the Bible, dude. And TPUSA did a protest for her. They were like, no, you write this dog essay, you deserve an A. In Genesis, God says that it is not good for man to be alone. So he created a helper for a man, which is a woman. Okay, I was wrong. She did quote the Bible. Just Genesis. This is like when Trump says, hey, what's your favorite passage in the Bible? And he says, I can't choose all of them. All of them. The entire Bible. I like the Bible in its entirety.
Bush. When I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal.
Did she cite the Bible as a source, or is it a trust me, bro? No, it's a trust me, bro. There is no citing of the Bible. Many people assume the word helper in this context to be condescending and offensive to women. However, the original word in Hebrew is ezer kenegdo, and that directly translates to helper equal to. Additionally, God described himself in the Bible as using ezer kenegdo or helper. He describes his Holy Spirit as our helper as well. This shows the importance God places on the role of the helper, women's roles. God does not view women as less significant than men. He created us with such intentionality and care. Oh my God, she just keeps repeating the same point over and over again, which is not even a point at all. It's just vibes. He made women in his image of being a helper and in the image of his beauty. If leaning into that role means I am following gender stereotypes, then I'm happy to be following a stereotype that aligns with the gifts and abilities God gave me as a woman. I do not think men and women are pressured to be more masculine or feminine. I strongly disagree with the idea from the article that encouraging acceptance of diverse gender expressions could improve students' confidence. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders. There are no multiple genders. There's only one gender. No more multiple genders. One gender only. Man. I go back and forth on whether or not this was a op and she like purposely wrote this as dog shit as possible so that she could get support for being quote unquote canceled. But then again, I think she's just so dumb. I think she is so stupid that she wrote it like this as a stupid person. Another professor was put on leave. Look at the TPUSA OUIG. Yes. Also, her professor is trans. So when her professor actually failed her on this, everybody went, oh, it's because she's woke. Her mom is a January 6th lawyer, and this is her opportunity to kickstart her political career. And here we are. Anyway, society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want is to be demonic and severely harms American youth. I do not want kids to be teased or bullied in school. However, pushing the lie that everyone has their own truth and everyone can do whatever they want and be whoever they want is not biblical whatsoever. Yes, the Bible says you do not have dreams that you can pursue. If you are a woman, you must be relegated to the title of helper. They broadcast, wait, it wasn't the professor, if I recall correctly, it was the graduate TA. The TA who graded her paper was the one put on leave. Oh, anyway, let's finish this and then we'll read the statement from Oklahoma University. The Bible says that our lives are not our own, but that our lives and bodies belong to the Lord for his glory. I live my life based on this truth and firmly believe that there would be less gender issues and insecurities in children if they were raised knowing that they do not belong to themselves, but they belong to the Lord. Overall, reading articles such as this one encouraged me to one day raise my children knowing that they have a heavenly Father who loves them and cherishes them deeply, and having their identity firmly rooted in who he is will give them the satisfaction and acceptance that the world can never provide for them. My prayer for the world, and specifically for American society and youth, is that they would not believe the lies being spread from Satan and make them believe they're better off as another gender than what God made them. I pray that they feel God's love and acceptance as who he originally created them to be. Now, there's a second professor who was put on leave for giving excused absences for protests, but not to a student who wanted to counter-protest, which was apparently the Oklahoma University TPUSA president. Yeah, I think that they just set this up on purpose. She wrote this dog essay specifically because she knew that she would get punished for it. She'd fail, and so that they could immediately kickstart this like victimhood narrative. It's the classic anti-woke equation. And in the process, they suspended the trans teacher's assistant. Watch, protests underway at University of Oklahoma rallying in support of the instructor who was put on leave after giving a student 0 on a psychology paper. Wokeness will come back in a way no one is ready for. They got 1 year of anti-woke culture, and they're seeing it as cancerous. Anyway, here's a statement from the University of Oklahoma. On Wednesday, a lecturer allegedly demonstrated viewpoint discrimination by excusing students who intended to miss class to attend a protest on campus, but not extending the same benefit to students who intended to miss class to express a counter viewpoint. Immediately upon learning of the situation, director of first year composition told students in class today and by email that the lecturer's actions were inappropriate and wrong, and that the university classroom exists to teach students how to think, not what to think. The director further stated that any student, regardless of viewpoint, would be excused if absent from class today to attend the protest without penalty, and that the lecturer had been replaced effective immediately for the remainder of the semester. The University of Oklahoma unequivocally supports the decision and swift action taken by the director of first-year composition regarding this matter. Her actions are fully consistent with university policy governing prohibited classroom conduct, and the lecturer has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. Classroom instructors have a special obligation to ensure that the classroom is never used to grant preferential treatment based on personal political beliefs, nor to pressure students to adopt a particular political or ideological view. It's unfair to say it deserves a 0. It deserves at least 17 to 23%. Look at how much it legit sparked debate. What? I mean, you're memeing. I get it. But that's perfectly valid. There were clear criteria for grading 0. It was appropriate. Okay, let's look at what the confines of the assignment were, okay? This assignment was locked November 9th at 11. You must write 650 words, double space, reaction paper demonstrating that you read the assigned article and include a thoughtful reaction to material presented in the article. Points will be deducted when papers are deficient in any of those areas. I will deduct 10 points if your paper is between 620 and 649 words, and I will not give credit for papers under 620 words. Papers not turned in by deadline will not receive credit. Please remember that your reaction paper should not be a summary, but rather a thoughtful discussion of some aspects of the article. Possible approaches to reaction papers include a discussion of why you feel the topic is important and worthy of study or not, an application of the study or results to your own experiences, an application of the study or results of observations about other behaviors, linking the objectives or findings from the assigned article to other domains of development or other findings that we read about or discuss in chat. Grading requirements, reaction papers graded on a 25-point scale. Does the paper show a clear tie into the assigned article? 10 points. Does the paper represent a thoughtful reaction or response to the article rather than a summary? 10 points. Is the paper clearly written? 5 points. Here are some of the instructor's comments. Where is the comments? Oh, please note that I'm not deducting points because you have certain beliefs, but instead I'm deducting points for you posting a reaction paper that does not answer the questions for this assignment, contradicts itself, heavily uses personal ideology over empirical evidence in a scientific class, and is at times offensive. While you are entitled to your own personal beliefs, there's an appropriate time or place to implement them in your reflections. I encourage all students to question or challenge the course material with other empirical findings or testable hypotheses, but using your own personal beliefs to argue against the findings of not only this article, but the findings of countless articles across psychology, biology, sociology, etc., is not the best practice. You argue that abiding by normative gender roles is beneficial. It is perfectly fine to believe this. But then to say that everyone should act the same while also saying that people aren't pressured into gendered expectations is contradictory, especially since your arguments reflect the religious pressure to act in gender stereotypical ways. You can say that strict gender norms don't create gender stereotypes, but that isn't true by definition of what a stereotype is. Please note that acknowledging gender stereotypes does not immediately denote a negative connotation, a nuance this article discusses. Additionally, to call an entire group of people demonic is highly offensive, especially a minoritized population. You are entitled to your own beliefs, but this isn't a vague narrative of society pushes lies, but instead the result of countless years of developing psychological and scientific evidence for these claims and directly interacting with the communities involved. Yeah, it's like you read a paper, or you don't actually read the paper necessarily, but you just go, yeah, trans people are demonic, and then you get an F for it, and you go, oh, well, I am being fired for the truth. I'm being attacked for the truth. No, you didn't do anything. You didn't do any of the job. Like, I made this argument. I made an argument similar to this one the first day that this became a point of controversy, where it was like, it's like having a religious person go into class on the theory of evolution and be like, evolution is fake because God told me. And if you believe in evolution, you are a phony, and then demanding an A on that paper. The way she wrote the essay would be shot down by literally any professor if she talked about anything else too. She would have had to defend her opinion through solid facts. This is bare minimum to get through university. How is this being questioned? How is this being questioned? Everyone is stupid. Everyone is stupid, and it's much easier to draw up battle lines on ideological points of view than it is to think critically. Okay, that's it. Many people will not read the paper. Even less will actually see her comments and why she graded it the way that she did. And the overwhelming majority will go, oh, they fired her or they failed her because gender. They failed her because woke. Especially when they find out that the EA is trans. Yeah, someone is saying that at least it wasn't ChatGPT. True. And we know it wasn't ChatGPT because even ChatGPT wouldn't write an essay so stupid. I don't think. Anyway, you're entitled to your own beliefs, but this isn't a vague narrative of society pushes lies, but instead the result of countless years of developing psychological and scientific evidence for these claims and directly interacting with the communities involved. You may personally disagree with this, but that doesn't change the fact that every major psychological, medical, pediatric, and psychiatric association in the United States acknowledges that biologically and physiologically, sex and gender is neither binary nor fixed. I implore you to apply more. Yeah, that's the other side of the story. It's like, if you're taking a course, you can't get away with saying like, no, gender is a rigid binary. You just can't do that because you're in college. I'm sorry. I know that television doesn't tell you that that is appropriate, or television tells you that your feelings are valid, but that shit's not valid in a actual course. You can't do that. You're not a child. You're in college. You have to literally learn the source material. The irony is she didn't even say it was a binary. She said that it was singular. Gender is singular. She said there's no such thing as multiple genders. She said there's only one gender, which is even dumber. Somehow she's dumber than the only two genders libtard take, because she said only one gender. Anyway, college is more about learning critical thinking than it is about learning things in general. Like a big chunk of college is about learning how to read and how to cite sources and think critically. Okay, that's the most significant training that you get when you go to college. I just hate how stupid we are as a society. I'm going to be late. Wait, what? Why? Get your ass over here. If you personally disagree with the findings, then by all means share your criticism, but make sure to do so in a way that is appropriate and using the methodology of empirical psychology as aligned with the learning goals in this class. If you have any additional questions or concerns about this, or would like some additional educational resources, I'd be happy to discuss this further and provide you with them. Samantha, I am the other instructor for this course, and I've taken the time to read your paper. I concur with Mel on the grade you received. This paper should not be considered as a completion of the assignment. Everyone has different ways in which she got double by both of the instructors. She got double tapped. They went in on her. This paper should not be considered a completion of the assignment. Everyone has different ways in which they see the world, but in an academic course such as this one, you are being asked to support your ideas with empirical evidence and higher level reasoning. I find it concerning that you state at the beginning of your paper that you do not think bullying, teasing is a bad thing. In addition, your paper directly and harshly criticizes your peers and their opinions, which are just as valuable as yours. Yeah, she's like, bullying, I do not agree with bullying. Also, everyone who believes that there are multiple genders, as in even two, are demonic and spawns of Satan. Yeah, the university turned around and suspended the trans TA, by the way. Please employ more thoughtfulness in your future assignments. What are professors supposed to do? Get every faculty member to approve giving a 0 from now on? Yeah, if you want to give a 0 to your student, they can't be a right-wing reactionary. And also, you can't be trans while in the process of giving a 0 to your student. Those are the new rules now. It's so stupid, but of course.
Right. Organizers tell me they put this protest together to stand up for academic integrity, calling on the university to put the grad student back in the classroom. Meantime, Turning Point USA students here on campus continue to stand with that student, Samantha Fulnecki. Two sides of the University of Oklahoma's essay controversy clashing on the flagship campus Friday. An essay on gender using the Bible as its base was graded with a 0 by a transgender graduate instructor. The author, junior Samantha Fulnecki, says she was targeted for her religious beliefs and filed a formal complaint.
I do think that this is the most British an American woman has ever looked. And I think people will understand what I mean when I say this. It's very odd how she has the British beat, like the full beat that you only see from British women. Like, this is a very Essex style of this is a very Essex look, and it's shocking that you can have American chavs now. I respect that. That's perhaps the coolest part of this, is that we now have American chavs.
The instructor is now on leave for the investigation. The university says the 0 won't count toward her final grade. Supporters of the instructor say the grade was about guidelines, not religion.
It's not discrimination, it really is accountability. You need to do the job, you need to do the work.
We spoke with a classmate off camera who completed the same assignment.
Citing the Bible and not using a source is inherently plagiarism, so
They put the notes on why her essay was dog shit. That's awesome.
It should be a report to academic affairs.
A short walk to the South Oval put protesters face to face with Turning Point USA members, standing with Fulnecki.
Yeah, we have to hold these teachers accountable.
Their president calls this an attack on Christianity.
She met the requirements. She did not deserve a 0. If she wanted to take points off because she didn't clearly state any empirical sources, then take some points off.
But she did. She did do that. That's what happens.
Not an entire, to be a complete 0.
The essay and the instructions are available on our website, koco.com, if you'd like to read them for yourself. The graduate student tell me they will not be commenting on this publicly. Meantime, the graduate student senate actually passed a resolution last night calling on the university to apologize to that grad student and put in better safeguards for graduate students. I also reached out to the university and Fulnecke for comment. No word yet, but we'll be sure to pass along their response once we receive it. Reporting live in Norman, Olivia Hickey, KOCO 5 News.
Amazing. I think that I should have gotten 100. I've gotten 100 on every single essay in this class, and I write them all the same, exactly the same. The TA has never had a problem with how I write my papers in that class. Okay, maybe it's appropriate to suspend that TA if she hadn't given you 0s for identical papers. If she's not lying, which I have no reason to believe that she's being sincere here. But if she wasn't lying, then it's appropriate to suspend the teacher, not for giving this one a 0, but for not giving all the previous essays a 0 if they were written in the exact same format. But of course, she's now on the Riley Gaines crash course. Conservative gets dunked on appropriately and then uses that failure to generate a career for themselves. It's ridiculous, but also, unfortunately, all too common.
Rather have my integrity and give my true opinion and get a 0 on an assignment than have to lie about what I really believe.
If she gets a 100 because she knows why she believes what she believes, I'd quiz that professor on whether or not he even believes there are 99 genders or whatever it is.
Oh my God. Oh, everyone is so stupid. I hate this stupidity.